Independence, they say, is being left off the agenda in favour of soft options and policies included to win the hearts and minds of the left-wing voters. Jim Fairley, who favours a hard line on independence, and Alex Salmon are in our Dundee studio with Ron Thompson.
Jim, as we heard on the news earlier in the programme, there was a row at the conference this afternoon on this very issue of not discussing independence at this conference. Now, is this a storm in a teacup?
It's not a question of discussing independence, it's a question of discussing the strategy of the last election. That was what was being opposed. And all that the people were doing were putting down a marker. They were just indicating to the party managers that they were not pleased that even in a closed session, we are about the only political party in Scotland that hasn't discussed the strategy that we fought the last election on.
And this upsets you?
Well, I feel that the discussion should have taken place. We've had no discussion at all. We are being promised that a discussion will be held at a later date. But I think the conference, because of the numbers of people who turn up, and because of the time that we have available, and the fact that we could have it in a closed session, then we should have had it now.
Alex Salmon?
Well, surprisingly perhaps, I actually agree with Jim about what the context of that debate was about. It was not about independence, and that's the subject of our autumn campaign, independence of Thatcher. It's about whether we should waste our time at annual conference looking backwards, and the vast majority of delegates decided that we were going to look forwards and take advantage of the very substantial opportunities, political opportunities, opening up the Scottish National Party.
Now, a lot of people think that the party are rather lost in the way in which they're going to achieve independence. It seems to many people that you're attacking Thatcherism, which will help Labour, and at other times you're attacking Labour, which is going to help the Tory government. Now, when exactly are you going to start putting across positively your own policies?
Oh, I think we're doing that now, but I think it's important to firstly attack Thatcherism, and secondly to attack Labour's inability to do anything about English Tory rule, which is what we're suffering from in Scotland. And the fact that Labour are unable, despite their 50 seats, the feeble 50 we're calling them, to make any impression whatsoever on the English Tory government is a major campaigning opportunity for the SNP. If you like, the Labour policy of devolution and all their other policies is about to be cleared from the political stage, and the real choice is going to be between independence for the SNP or the status quo of Margaret Thatcher.
Now, is that the way you see it, Jim Fairley, that if Labour make no progress whatsoever with devolution, then Labour supporters will start flocking to the SNP?
Alec and his colleagues in the party are kind of like the First World War generals. They learn nothing, regret nothing, and they'll change nothing. 32% of the people in this country favour independence. They have said it consistently in opinion polls for the past 2 years. We take 14% of the vote. There must be something wrong with their message. And I want to see us putting forward the dignity of independence, the much more positive aspects of Scottish nationalism. I want people to be asked to face the challenge of independence. And to be made aware of the potential that this country has as an independent country. Now, we can't go on relying on the failure of our opponents to deliver the votes.
There's no argument about that. The real question is, are we going to go forward with an independence message, or are we going to fight old battles? And I say
it's not a case of fighting, Alex, it's a case of discussing where we went wrong, and if we're not prepared to discuss, if we're not prepared to discuss where we've gone wrong.
Anyway, it's either we can look forward. We've got things have changed since the election. There's a new political environment, a new political opportunity, and that's what the Scottish National Party should be addressing to itself. They're not worrying about what happened before the election, but about the new opportunity that's here in Scotland, here and now, and the things that are going to have to be done if all of us in Scotland are going to have
the opportunity that we have now is exactly the same opportunity that we had post-83. The feeble 50 are no more feeble than the feeble 42.
Oh no, I disagree.
And the feeble 42 have been there for 8 years. And all that's happened at this election is that the Labour Party have managed to increase their vote. Now, they're not going to change anything, and it isn't going to change anything on people's thoughts. Exactly. But we have to have the message.
Gentlemen, you speak about the feeble 50, and yet today, in one of the resolutions, the one to do with housing, the conference were actually calling on the Scottish Labour majority to use its mandate to oppose the attack on housing standards.
That's right.
Now, who would ever believe that the SNP would be calling upon the Labour Party?
Oh yes, but then it's a tactical argument. I mean, we know that the Labour Party won't choose the mandate being given to the Scottish people. And it's a question of exposing the Labour Party's importance, and it's a tactic that is a good argument to put forward. But our central strategy is saying to the Scottish people that Labour cannot deliver on devolution. There's a real choice available between independence and Thatcher.
Gentlemen, thank you. You're both, of course, standing as the senior vice chairman in the party on Saturday, and we'll note that in which of you...